With round 1 of the NFL draft complete, it is time to give pick analysis, reactions, and grades for these picks. So let's start off with the first overall pick. The Rams selected Jared Goff, who we all suspected. So I will give this pick for the Rams, I will give it a solid B+, because the Rams had to trade up 14 picks and had to give up so much just for Jared Goff. And now the franchise is going to currently depend on Jared Goff. Now what I could see the Rams doing in rounds 2 or 3 tonight and in rounds 4 through 7 tomorrow, they can either do they can do two things. They can wait to grab a solid receiver in the 4th round, or they can trade more in the 2nd or 3rd round to get into it, because they currently have no pick until the 4th round. So that's why it's a B+, because they had to give up so much for Jared Goff, and now they're depending on the franchise being around Jared Goff. When you have players like Tavon Austin and Todd Gurley and Trey Mason, and when you have Aaron Donald on defense, you can either go wide receiver, defensive tackle, or get offensive linemen to protect Jared. Now, with the pick number 2, the Eagles, this was the trade. This was traded last week. In fact, we had 5 trades last night of picks exchanges. I'll get to those later. I'll get when we get to it. So, for Carson Wentz with going to the Eagles, I will give them... I'll give him a B+ as well. Because Sam Bradford, he wants to be traded now. He's acting like kind of selfish in a way. So I'll give that a B+. They had to give up so much as well. So, number 3, the Chargers, they shockingly went with Joey Bosa. This came as a surprise to me, although in one of my mock drafts, I think it was probably 4.0. He was number 3 to the Chargers, but I had him going at number 4 to Dallas. But I will give the Chargers a B-, because I thought it was way too early to get Joey Bosa. They could have easily traded down with somebody. They could have traded down with somebody maybe like the 49ers. Or they could have traded with the Saints. So I just think it was a little too whoa. Maybe they could have traded down a couple picks. But I'll give him a B- for it. It's a great pick. They should have probably gone with Laramie Tunsil, but maybe the video of Laramie Tunsil on his Twitter account, the 10 minutes for the draft, or 10 to 15 minutes, maybe that has something to do with it. But we will talk about Laramie Tunsil when we get there. Number 4, the Cowboys went with Ezekiel Elliott. That is a wonderful pick. That's almost like the perfect draft pick. They're portraying him as the next Emmitt Smith. That's what they're looking for out of him. So I will give the Cowboys an A- for that. I'm only not giving it an A+ because we have yet to see what Ezekiel Elliott can do in the NFL. As a thing that could be his downfall is his attitude. Number 5, the Jaguars going with Jalen Ramsey. I'm going to give this pick an A- as well. Because Jacksonville secondary was not the best last season, but it wasn't the worst. It was kind of in between. So this pick by the Jaguars to get Jalen Ramsey was wonderful, worthy of an A- Number 6, the Ravens going with Ronnie Stanley. I'm going to give this pick just a B. Because it seemed like they could have gone with Laramie Tunsil, but apparently the video may have scared them. Although their coach was saying or their GM was saying that Ronnie Stanley versus Tunsil was the deal the whole time, but I'm still giving it a B. You got the protection for Joe Flacco, who missed 6 games with the torn ACL. The 49ers went with DeForest Buckner at number 7. Now, this is kind of where I had him in all my mock drafts. But this is really a perfect pick for the 49ers. I'm going to give it an A. Because you got defensive help. The 49ers have probably had probably a top 3 worst defense in the NFL, probably the last 3 seasons. So So this is really a good pick for Chip Kelly. And we will talk about Chip Kelly again later. At number 8, this was where the first pick trade of draft night took place. The Cleveland Browns had the number 8 pick, but then they decided to trade with the Tennessee Titans. So the Titans picked number 8, and now the Browns are picking number 15. The Titans did not go with Laremy Tunsil. They went with Jack Conklin, the offensive tackle of Michigan State. This is a good pick. Pretty decent pick. You could have gone with Tunsil, but maybe it was the video for the third time we're talking about this whole thing. We only got about 5 more picks until we talk about it. But I'm going to give it. I'll give it a B. At number 9, the Bears. This is the second trade. The Buccaneers originally had this pick, but then the Bears moved up 2 spots to grab Leonard Floyd, the offensive linebacker out of Georgia. This was kind of a smart move for the Bears. I mean, you have Danny Trevathan now. I think the Bears will probably draft Hunter Henry maybe round 3 if he's still available when they're there. After they traded Martellus Bennett to the Patriots for a 4th round pick, maybe Hunter Henry will come out in the 3rd round by the Bears. Why they probably made this trade is they wanted Leonard Floyd, and they were almost 100% certain the Buccaneers were set with drafting Leonard Floyd. So they got to agree with it. So I'm going to give it an A-. Number 10, the Giants go with Eli Apple, cornerback out of Ohio State. Now, Vernon Hargreaves was still there. To draft Eli Apple over Vernon Hargreaves, that's kind of in the question right now, but I think why they did this is Eli Apple was on a national championship in college. He actually had the game-winning interception in the Sugar Bowl, the one where Ezekiel Elliott, where he made a name for himself. So I will give this pick, I don't think it's completely bad. I think it's kind of average, as we don't know yet. So I'll give it a C+. Then the Buccaneers went with Vernon Hargreaves, the cornerback out of Florida. Now, it was unexpected for Vernon Hargreaves to be the number 3 corner taken. In fact, on the majority of mock drafts, I'd say roughly around 90 to 95% of mock drafts had Vernon Hargreaves in the top 10. The fact that he slid to Buccaneers at 11, this was kind of a solid pick to help that secondary, because Brent Grimes is getting pretty old. The Buccaneers don't have the best secondary in the NFL. So that pick deserves a B+. At number 12, the Saints went with Sheldon Rankins, the defense tackle of Louisville. Great pick. This is a great thing for the Saints, because the Saints have not had a great defense, especially under Rob Ryan. So this pick, and Sheldon Rankins is probably one of the most underrated players in this year's draft class. So this pick is getting an A-. At number 13, the Dolphins went with Laremy Tunsil, who nobody expected was going to fall all the way to pick 13. Nobody expected him to be the 3rd offensive tackle taken. But the video surfaced on his Twitter account. Apparently his account was probably hacked, and many speculation is it was by his stepfather, who him and his stepfather have had some ongoing battles in the real world. So the Dolphins could get a steal out of this, protect Ryan Tannehill. So I will give this pick B+. And if you've actually noticed, I'm kind of being maybe a little generous so far. At pick 14, the Oakland Raiders going with Carl Joseph, the safety out of West Virginia. Now, I have been saying in my mock drafts and in the Oakland Raiders video I made, I said if they were to draft smart this year, they could make the playoffs. But with drafting Carl Joseph, a safety, you probably could have gotten at the end of the first round, maybe within the first couple picks of the second round. This is kind of the first, not completely bad grade for me, but kind of a bad one. So I'm gonna give this a C minus because I think it was way too early to draft Carl Joseph. You could have traded down with somebody. You could have probably traded down with you could have traded down with the Steelers maybe. You could have traded down with maybe the Jets or the Falcons even. Now, the Browns had 15. Now, this is where the Browns finally made a pick. They went with Corey Coleman, the wide receiver out of Baylor. Hugh Jackson is not messing around in Cleveland. Now, with Corey Coleman, that is a weapon for RG3 if he's really going to be the starter. Although, something does tell me that the Browns will have a quarterback on that roster by the end of the draft this weekend. Whether they trade their 100th pick to someone like the Rams to take Nick Foles, or they invest in Connor Cook tonight in the second round, or maybe in the third round, because the Cleveland Browns are picking first tonight in the second round with pick 32. So I'm going to give this pick. This is our first A-plus pick. Corey Coleman was probably the most explosive wide receiver in the NFL. I'd say him and Laquan Treadwell are pretty much even at both having potentially Megatron 2.0. Their first A-plus pick. And number 6 in the line is going with Taylor Decker, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. This is not kind of the best pick for me. You probably could have gotten him, I don't know, maybe you could have fallen in the second round. In most mock drafts I watched, they probably had him going a little high, a little low. Nowhere in the middle. I'll be generous and give this pick a C. At number 17, my Atlanta Falcons. Keanu Neal, the safety out of Florida. I would give my Falcons an F. I would give them an F for Falcons. But I'll just give a D minus. Really? Shaq Lawson was still on the board. Miles Jack was still on the board. Ragland was still on the board. Laquan Treadwell was still on the board. Just kind of an upsetting pick for me. Although I could be completely wrong about this. But something tells me he's not going to do anything this year or the year after that. Something tells me I'm going to get on the roster in 4 years. And then all of a sudden, when this video surfaces next year, he'll make the game-winning interception Super Bowl 51. So D minus Falcons. You would hope he does something. At number 18, the Indianapolis Colts, going with Ryan Kelly, son of Alabama. It's a pretty strong pick for them. But it's not the perfect pick. So I'll give it a B+. Number 19, the Bills, going with Shaq Lawson, defensive end, out of Clemson. Yeah, you know where this is going. A+ pick for Rex Ryan. He's improving to build that bully in Buffalo like he promised. And Shaq Lawson just makes it even better, going after Tom Brady and going after the Jets and the Dolphins every year, twice a year each. So this is a great pick for Rex Ryan and his bunch. A+ on that pick. Number 20, the Jets go with Darren Lee, the outside linebacker of Ohio State. The pick kind of makes sense, but it may not. Jets Central, comment below on this video on what you think of this 20th pick, because I am not sure how to grade this pick, but I'll give it a B minus. Number 21, the Texans traded a pick up with the Redskins, so Texans now pick 21, the Reds now pick 22. Texans with Will Fuller, wide receiver of Notre Dame. I don't know if he necessarily needed to trade up, that one slot to draft Will Fuller, but it's pretty nice. I think Will Fuller was the fastest wide receiver in the 40 time. So I'm going to give this pick. I'm going to give the pick an A minus. I would give it an A plus, but I don't know if Will Fuller is going to have a lot of production this year. I don't know yet. It just gives Brock Osweiler another weapon. You're just evolving on offense with Brock Osweiler, Lamar Miller, DeAndre Hopkins. You have CJ Shorts. You didn't really do a lot. You have Jalen Strong, and now you have Will Fuller. So what I think the Texans will probably do tonight and tomorrow, throughout these last 2 days of the draft, I like them to build around either their defensive front, maybe get one pick for the defensive front to complement J.J. Watt and Clowney, or I could see them getting some secondary help, or I could see them trying to improve the offensive line to protect Brock. Number 22, the Redskins went with Josh Dotson, the wide receiver of TCU. This is also the part where we went a little wide receiver happy. This is a great pick. Explosive player as well. In fact, I think this is probably the best class of wide receivers I've seen since getting into football. So I'm going to give this pick an A minus as well. Just a solid pick all around. Compliments to Deshaun Jackson. And maybe Pierre Garçon will gain some relevance. And number 23, the Vikings going with Laquan Treadwell. A plus pick for the Vikings. This is a steal at this point in the draft. In fact, Laquan Treadwell, I think, is Megatron 2.0. I think I said that to one of the viewers or the fans last night. So that's a great pick. 24, the Bengals went with William Jackson, the third cornerback out of Houston. This is a great pick considering the secondaries in the AFC North last year were not that great. So I'm going to give this pick, I'm going to give it a B+, not quite an A yet, because I feel like the Bengals have traded down to get William Jackson. Number 25, the Steelers went with Artie Burns, the cornerback out of Miami. I'll also give this a B+, because you don't quite know if these guys are going to start or how much snaps they're going to get. It just improves the secondary. Number 26, we had another trade. The Seahawks originally had this pick, but then the Broncos traded up to draft Paxton Lynch, quarterback, Memphis. Now, as I said when I did my Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Paxton Lynch debate, I said that Paxton Lynch may probably have to be the backup for a year. Maybe with Denver drafting him at 26, this could not be the case, and trading up when Denver could have gotten him at 31. I'll give it an A minus. This isn't really a perfect thing. You could have actually waited till 31, because there's no way the Seahawks are going to draft Paxton Lynch to replace Russell Wilson. No way they were going to replace the Packers. Are going to take Paxton Lynch to replace Aaron Rodgers, but maybe between 28 and 30 or 29. Maybe that's why they traded up, because they were worried that the 49ers had a clear shot at Paxton Lynch, and the Cardinals did as well. We don't know what Carson Palmer is going to do for the Cardinals next year. That's probably why the Broncos traded up. In fact, I'll actually change this A-, and I'll add a line to it to make an A+. I changed my mind. This is the first time I've changed my mind on something when I talk mock draft. This is actually pretty smart. Paxton Lynch is actually Brock Osweiler's size, who they would have had if Brock Osweiler did not start the Texans. So that's now an A+ pick for Denver now that I'm talking about it more. Moving on, the Packers at 27 with Kenny Clark, the defensive tackle of UCLA. This is a smart pick as well. This is worthy of an A-. It'll help beef up the Packers defense, who's not been the best or the worst. Somewhere in between, maybe the 20s. So that'll help. At number 28, the Chiefs traded their pick to the 49ers. So Chip Kelly's back in the first round. And he goes with Joshua Garnett, the offensive guard of Stanford. I'm actually going to give this a D+, because it's not that I don't have anything against this pick. It's just that I felt like you could have maybe gotten Cody Whitehair. I think Cody Whitehair is pretty strong. Or you could have gotten Jason Spriggs out of Indiana. This is only a D+ because I just feel like there was probably better options at that time. At number 29, the Arizona Cardinals with Robert Kim Deach, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss, who would have been in the probably top 5, top 10, but he had issues out the field. So I'm going to give this pick, I'll give it an A minus because that was pretty much of a steal. Number 31, I had the Panthers going with Vernon Butler, the defensive tackle of Louisiana Tech. I kind of like this pick, but I kind of don't. So I'll grade it in between. I'll give it a C. I'll just give it a straight C. Then the Seahawks got Jermaine Ifedi, the outside guard of Texas A&M. My Aggies, I'm going to give this pick, I'm going to give it a B, because this is kind of what they needed to do. They needed to get protection for Russell Wilson. They needed to build up gaps in the offensive line, especially since they don't have Max Unger. It kind of showed with how many times Russell Wilson was sacked last season. So this is pretty solid for them. So I'm going to give that a B. So there are your draft picks. So there's your draft pick analysis, reactions, and grades. All in 21 minutes. Maybe a little bit slower than what I expected. But before I sign off and post this up, we are about 2.5 hours away as I'm saying this. It is 3:25 Central Time. So Myles Jack is still on the board. Derrick Henry is still on the board. I think those two will probably be taken within the first handful of picks. So we're starting off with Cleveland, Tennessee, then Dallas. I could actually see the Cowboys taking a risk on Myles Jack. I can also see the Browns going with Derrick Henry right away, because they need a running back now. Because their running backs aren't the best, but they're actually not the worst either, believe it or not. So I like Myles Jack and Derrick Henry maybe among the first 6 picks taken tonight. If they're both available in the middle of round 2, I'll be shocked. Anyway, like and subscribe to my channel. Comment your thoughts. Follow my Twitter account that I use for this channel, JB Talk Sports. Email me, birthdatejohnny@gmail.com. Suggest future video ideas. Or if you just want to tell me your thoughts, and I'll maybe tell them on a future video if you would like. Anyway, that's it for me today. Have a wonderful day, and maybe Monday I will do a full draft recap reaction. Until then, have a wonderful day.